We welcome you to Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the Atlanta Falcons Postgame Breakdown presented by AT&T with DJ Shockley Westrum. Great to be with you on a Sunday. We closed the regular season, unfortunately, like too many Sundays during the course of the year, Shock.
Yeah.
44-27, the final in Tampa. Buccaneers win. They finish 11-5. Falcons close the season at 4-12. All right, where do you want to start here today?
You know what? I'll say this. It wasn't what you wanted to start the ball game. Looked like Tampa was just going to run away with this thing, but give the Falcons that lead. Start to look promising. You thought you had an opportunity to kind of walk off on this season on a high note, and Tom Brady and the Bucs kind of found a way at the end to close it out. So unfortunate, of course, and like you mentioned, similar to how the season has gone throughout this year.
Tampa has played at a very high level here in the last month, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, the efficiency that Tom has played with has really affected his team. And, you know, their defense and Todd Bowles has been really good down the stretch. But when you're scoring points, you're moving the football, not having many thirds down like they had today, it's big things happening for them. So they're clicking at the right time, and I'm sure a lot of teams are taking them offense to what they're doing.
All right, let's kind of get to a couple of players that had moments during the day. First of all, 9 catches, 91 age, who quite frankly just continues to add to what has been a fine 2020 campaign for him.
Yeah, a positive thing to look at for the season is the emergence of Gage and out for you. So you think about guys that you can depend on going into the 21 season. This bodes well for this Falcons offense and this team, knowing you have a receiver on the outside that has made plays and done the big games and has been dependable for you and has shown the ability. So big props to Russell Gage for stepping up to the plate and showing that he's a guy that when people talked about Russell Gage coming out, didn't even see him as a guy who can actually contribute on the offensive side of the ball.
Atlanta had 127 yards, 62 of them came right here on the run by Brian Hill.
Yeah, just a nice job of an audible by Matt Ryan there, getting him into the right play, and some things that you never really see on the scouting report or you see come up in the stat line, but a great job here blocking up front and Matt getting them into the right play. And then Brian Hill showing the speed to get around the corner and almost getting into the end zone.
All right, we're going to talk about a couple different things here about draft and that kind of thing. Here's another look at the Hill run. Touchdown-saving tackle made, but Atlanta got in the end zone. Ridley finishes with 90 catches, 1,374 yards, 9 scores. Gage, 72 catches, 786, and 4 scores. Hayden Hurst, 56 catches, 571, 6 scores. Julio Jones, 51 catches, 771, and 3 scores.
Yeah.
Beyond that group, only 5 other touchdowns, 2 for Laquan Treadwell, both late. Brandon Powell, 2, and 1 for Olamide Zaccheaus. We mentioned Gage has had a nice year. Gurley ran for 678. Brian Hill finished with 100 carries for 465 yards. Atlanta didn't run it well enough, though, Shock, at any point during the season to invest your confidence.
Yeah, and that's one thing that when we talk about looking forward is the number one thing, I believe, or number two thing you think about that has to improve going into the offseason is finding backs, finding guys, the way to create run game, because when you don't have that, it shows. And there are times where, you get 2-3 yards here. There, you guys talked about on the call, dirty yards, but you got to have more efficiency in the run game, and the Falcons have not been able to do that the last couple of years.
Dave mentioned this on the radio broadcast. If you looked at the line the last 2 weeks, Matt Hennessy at center, Chris Lindstrom at right guard, Caleb McGarry right tackle, okay?
Yeah.
The left guard spot, that's got to be decided.
Yep.
The left tackle spot, Jake Matthews, one would think. You're not totally sure, though. We don't know where this thing could go in 2021 from that light. But it's clear the run game has got to be addressed here, right?
It has to. And I think it starts with that position. We saw Brian Hill. We saw Edo Smith this year. You thought Ty would come in. He had a really good start to the season.
Sure.
And it wasn't what you wanted to finish it with. But I think that's a position of need that you go into the offseason thinking about. So up front, you talk about that right side, that's going to be here. And
that's not going anywhere.
I think we talked about coming to the season, who's going to be that left guard, and here we are at the end of the season still wondering who's going to be at that left guard spot. So there's still some things to talk out and iron as this offseason approaches, but that running back spot absolutely is a position that you look at in the offseason and say, we have to make sure we go out and get a guy for that spot.
All right. Dave mentioned 2 other areas here. One, the secondary opposite, the corner opposite A.J. Terrell. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at some of the things that happened today, it shows a glaring weakness on the outside. You got to make sure you address that. Well, we thought A.J. Terrell's played really well this season. Had times where, of course, he's looked like a rookie, but he's
got better
well.
as the year went on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you put another guy on the other side of him, you solidify that secondary. Two aggressive guys with great confidence, and I'm sure you can find that early in the first or second round. Absolutely, another corner would be really good.
All right. I want to go to, before we cannonball into the pool of speculation about the draft, okay? And we're going to cannonball before we say goodbye here about the draft.
Yeah.
Foye Oluokun took a major step forward this year in leading this team in tackles.
Dude, I love Foye. I thought every single game he had an imprint on it. I thought he made plays. I thought he was really active in the run and the pass game. He got a couple calls that went against him today, but for the totality of what he did this season was really good. I thought he did a good job of turning the football over at times. He was aggressive, and you say, hey, he led the team in tackles. I mean, that tells you the guy's active, the guy is doing some really good things, and stepped his game up to a whole new level, similar to what we talked about with Russell Gage as a guy you thought would just be a special teams guy.
Right.
Has really transformed his game to be a contributor on the defensive side of the ball.
Remember, a lot of people here a year ago when the season ended and Devondre Campbell became a free agent.
Who's going to be the guy?
Who was going to be the guy? Well, you found that guy.
No doubt.
And it's Oluokun. So you're set with Jones and Oluokun. You're set with Grady Jarrett, right? Now, Dante Fowler said he'd like to be back. He said, I thought he was very candid and very honest this past week. He'd like to come back. Understand that. Financials are what the financials are.
Right.
Which brings us now to the draft.
Yeah.
Things go according to plan. Atlanta will probably pick 4, okay, behind the Jags, the Jets, and the Miami Dolphins as part of the Laramie Tunsil trade in a pick that belongs to Houston.
Yeah.
If at 4 today and you are the new general manager, what are you doing?
You know what? Me and Arch talked about this a little bit, and
not on the air, so now's your chance.
Yeah. If you're at 4, I'm looking at possibly getting somewhere in that corner or defensive end, somebody who can rush the passer, who can solidify that defense. We've talked about having a guy on the other side of A.J. Terrell, but we also talked about needing somebody to get after the quarterback. So many times today we saw Brady just sitting back there. Grady can't do it alone. He went out the ball game. We didn't see as much pressure. Fowler's a guy who we know can get it done. We didn't see it as much this year. Add another guy at that point, even if it's a defensive end or if it's a corner. I don't know if you go back a few spots and get a couple picks here in the first round or early in the second round, but I think there's room to go get a corner, especially early in this draft.
All right. I said a moment ago, the financials are what the financials are, okay? You're going to make some hard decisions.
Yeah.
Some may be post-draft.
Right.
Some may be before the draft. How active can you be in a free agent market if you're held up in the financials? That's a tough part too, right?
Yeah, and unless some things change, I'm not sure how active you can be because of, like you mentioned, the financials are going to make it hard. But then there's the decision that you make about guys that are currently on the roster that can help the financials. So there's a lot to take into account on how do you handle that situation. Do you go about getting rid of some guys who are really high on their total poll as far as the financials go? So it's going to be some ways that they got to finagle it. And I know Rich McKay and Arthur Blanco want to find ways to make sure they get the guys they need in here. But it's going to be tough to do that if it stays the way it is now.
If there's a guy who's on this roster right now you're excited about in 2021, who is it?
Oh, man.
For me, it's Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Because I think Calvin Ridley can make plays in this league and explosive plays in this league and help make you winning plays in this league.
Yeah. I think on the other side of the ball, I think it still has to be A.J. Terrell for me. I think you saw the improvement of him, and then you see if he gets a chance to get another guy on the other side of him, that takes away for some of the one-on-one man coverage you have to face every single week or face it better as the seasons go on with the amount of reps that he's gotten.
Veteran guy on this team, Russell Gage, we thought did enough. Foye Oluokun thought we did enough to earn some more, no question.
Oh, absolutely. I thought Gage is in a spot where he's coming up on the end of that contract, and he's making a lot of cases for why he needs to be back, why he needs to be on this team, why he needs to have a bigger role.
Yeah.
I think he showed in the time where Julio has been out that he could be that next guy in line to help Calvin really kind of ease the pain.
All right. By the way, I want to be on that mock draft thing with you and Arch and Rack and all that at some point, too.
Wes,
I want to hop in
Wes,
on that.
how about you answer the question? You have the number 4 pick, and you have an opportunity to take. You're not going to put it all on me.
I'm going to stockpile inventory.
Okay. You're moving on back a little bit.
I want to move it on back.
Yeah.
Not like George Jefferson, move it on up. I want to move it on back.
Well, what's your first place of need you want to go?
I don't know yet.
Oh, really?
I don't know yet.
That means
I mean, I need to kind of see where we are, what we're doing, what the philosophy is going to be of who the HC is.
Okay, I like that. I can respect that because that does have a lot to do with where you go personnel-wise. GM, head coach,
right.
What kind of style you're going to have, both sides of the ball.
I like being at 4 now. There's some inventory at 4.
You can do a lot of things at 4.
Yes, sir.
And there's going to be a lot of people come calling for 4. So.
Right. Great to be with DJ Shockley. Enjoyed it.
You the man, brother.
Yeah, had a big time. Thanks to AT&T for being our presenting sponsor, the Atlanta Falcons Postgame Breakdown. Don't forget, there is plenty more coverage now. The coverage at AtlantaFalcons.com does not stop. Stay right here. See you soon.